So stay with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Say yeah! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NXT After Show right here on AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica, joined as always by the one, the only, the Hobo.
As good as it feels to say yeah, unfortunately, this might be the last time we get to say yeah.
So excited for the Revival getting called up to Raw. We're going to talk about all of those later in the show. But seeing as they were our favorite tag team in NXT, we wanted to...
Forever.
Probably. You know, Goatita. We wanted to shout them out, start the show with them.
Just shout them out loud.
Yeah.
Like Powerline.
I was going to say like Kiss, but all right. Sure, let's go with that. Missing in action is our good friend Bill. He is still on assignment in Orlando, so make sure to follow him at Sundown Motel. This past week, we'll talk about it at the end of the show too. This past weekend, being in Orlando for NXT TakeOver, being it for the entire WrestleMania weekend, WrestleCon. Want to thank the kind folk at WWE for giving us the opportunity. We'll talk more about that after the show. But let's start off with tonight's episode of NXT. We got Peyton Royce versus Aaliyah to start out the show. What did y'all think of this match?
Well, to me, it looked like it was the Catwoman versus Poison Ivy.
Seriously?
Little Batman bad girl action. It was a little weird, the crowd's reaction tonight. On the whole, just strange. It was like walking into an alternate universe. Peyton Royce was the heavy favorite in this match against Aaliyah, who, on any other day of the week, the roles would be reversed. Mm-hmm. Everyone would be on their feet for Aaliyah and booing Peyton Royce right out of the building.
It was a little bit of a bizarre crowd tonight. Like, it seemed like a night after Raw crowd. Of course, this being taped before NXT TakeOver Orlando. Maybe they were just rowdy and wanted to get to the craziness before WrestleMania was over.
Maybe this was their way of kind of blowing off some steam beforehand. But I will say it did carry over into the actual TakeOver show itself, as we covered on our actual audio-only podcast.
Yes, and for those of you who were looking for our audio podcast that we talked about all weekend over Twitter, we recorded a TakeOver Orlando show with UpRocks.com's Brandon Stroud. It was a whole lot of fun. We were just a whole bunch of boys on a bed.
Just giggling,
talking about cute boys. It was pretty amazing. It's, without a doubt, if you like when we go a little bit into the random off the rails, but generally stay on topic, it's one of my favorite shows that we've ever done.
No, I think the change of venue kind of allowed us to be a little bit looser, but still kind of stay in the framework of an actual after show.
Yeah, it was pretty wonderful. So if you want to hear, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the matches, because half of this show was a look at NXT TakeOver Orlando. But if you want us to go a little bit more in depth, make sure to check that out. It's going to be on iTunes later tonight. Any podcast or any audio podcast app that you may use, or if you don't have an audio podcast app that you use, if you just go to AfterBuzzTV.com, go on our page, there will be an event for it, and you can listen to the audio right there on the internet. So make sure to check that out, because it was so much fun. Let us know your thoughts on Twitter, and we'll be able to have an open conversation about it. But I liked Peyton Royce in this because it reminded me more of how she's billed as the Venus flytrap. Because she was wrapping all sorts around Aaliyah. Like, there was that sweet submission on the ropes that she did. But Aaliyah, she started out on top a little bit more than throughout the rest of the match until Peyton got Billy involved.
Well, it's always the numbers game with those two. They don't operate as two individuals. They operate as a singular unit. Very rarely do we see Peyton Royce go an entire match without Billy Kay kind of being the game changer and changing the way the match is functioning. And it just like that happened this time around. Lee had the advantage. Billy Kay, once again, causing a distraction, allowed Peyton to get the upper hand.
Yeah, and it didn't last long. We got Aaliyah trying to come back with a couple of Japanese arm drags, which took a whole lot of power because there wasn't a lot of momentum in there.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like Peyton was running at her. She just grabbed her and tossed her, which is a lot of power for a small package like Aaliyah.
Right. It's a difficult maneuver to do, especially the hip toss. Just no momentum, pulling Peyton's entire body weight into that sit-out hip toss. I don't know. It felt weird. It felt unlike Aaliyah, who's normally very smooth with her offense. She's got a lot of sort of lucha libre stylings in there, and she uses a lot of the ropes to her advantage, and she's very smooth. This didn't seem smooth.
Yeah,
this seems sort of the opposite, kind of clunky to me.
To me, it helped. It helped her sort of keep Peyton off of her game, and once she started to slow down, she went for that submission, and Peyton was able to use that to her advantage, reverse, and turn it into that trap fisherman suplex with that beautiful bridge for the win.
That kick to the face preceding it, I think that's what really helped soften her up.
That's what I mentioned, the direct kick to the face. But it seemed like she was trying to, while gain momentum, stagger it in order to throw Peyton off. That's what it seemed like. I mean, I hope that it was intentional to be like that.
Maybe,
because I do agree she is very fluid.
It didn't work. I mean, she didn't get the win, and as a result, she didn't look like her normal self in there. She went for a seated senton at one point that looked like it was going to be a Rana, but then it just sort of ended up being a seated senton.
It looked like a Luthez press a little bit.
Without being tremendously impactful. Like, it just seemed like nothing was really working. I don't know. Maybe it was an off night.
Well, the thing about that is she didn't get all of the height that she wanted, so she kind of took her down from the middle, which doesn't have as high of an impact as if you, like, go for the head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do agree with that. Didn't do her any good anyway because Peyton ended up picking up the win.
Yep.
But it's always good to see Aaliyah on TV, especially after breaking ground.
I think this is she's consistently getting bigger opportunities. I think this is really her biggest opportunity to date, doing the matches preceding a takeover. Very large crowd. I hate to think that nerves were a force that sort of played with her game. But it could have been. She's still young, still very inexperienced. It could have been that she was a little bit overwhelmed the size of that crowd and how they were reacting to Peyton and not her.
But also, it's the first match of one of the biggest takeovers of the year, if not all time. You know, Orlando opened their doors. The home of NXT opened their doors to let the world in, a little bit more of the world than usually at like a Full Sail takeover.
This
so
is the same
it's
venue
possible
that hosted the Raw after WrestleMania. It's a big
and
venue.
the Hall of Fame the night before.
Absolutely, it's I think the biggest venue that an NXT event has been held in. I think.
Barkley is around
Barclays,
there.
Close.
Barkley, I remember either being 12 or 17. I think it was 12.
It's somewhere.
I think it was 12.
And there was 15 there.
I mean, regardless, 15,000 people compared to the couple hundred that goes into Full
See
Sail.
that sea of humanity, and if they're not in your favor already, going into a match where you think, well, the people know me, they're gonna like me already, and all of a sudden they're booing you when you are expecting them to be cheering for you, it can throw off your game. Maybe that's what we got tonight.
We also got new music from her, or at least as far as I'm concerned, it sounded like it was new
that
music from
music
her.
box kind of
the
thing preceding it.
Whatever, however, that's.
I like that though. That was good.
What I did?
Yes.
Thank you.
Like what you did there.
You can stop. But I'll never forget because of Breaking Ground. Like she pushed for it so hard that
and Regal was like, I don't know what.
And Regal finally got his wish, and they have new music for her. After this, we got a look at the 8-person tag with Sanity versus Ruby Riott, Ty Dillinger, Roderick Strong, and a surprise Cassius Ohno. This is a great way to start off the show. If you want to, and I'm going to say this constantly throughout the evening, if you want to learn a little bit more about our in-depth thoughts about this match, make sure to go to iTunes and check out our Takeover Orlando show. Same thing with the NXT Women's Championship match. The most important thing about this segment is in the back we got an interview with Asuka asking who was next, and she put it simply, "I'm still champion."
I don't think that was the right question for an interviewer to ask. It's not about who's next. It's about the quality of the victory for me, because it's a tainted victory. Asuka bent the rules in order to attain said victory. Who's next? I think it's Ember Moon. Ember Moon deserves another shot because of the actions of Asuka.
So going off of that, do you think we're going to see something with like a no disqualification or a no holds barred or something to where Asuka can't necessarily, or it evens the playing field for Ember Moon as opposed to just giving Asuka any sort of championship advantage that she may have?
I'd say, I dare say it, but maybe another Iron Woman match, sort of leveling the playing field a little bit. Even if Asuka is able to attain a victory through, or at least a single fall through nefarious means, Ember Moon might be able to turn it around.
Sure, and we may be seeing that title match a little bit sooner than later.
And it wouldn't be the first time we've seen that. One of the greatest women's matches was indeed an Iron Woman match. And so I think it's not outside the realm of possibility for them to do it again.
Another first.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if there aren't too many firsts left, because there's been hardcore matches, cage matches, ladder match. I think there's been a women's ladder match in the WWE. No, there hasn't, because we talk about it all the time on the other shows.
Yeah.
But then we got to look at Aleister Black versus Andrade Almas. And one of the interesting things that came away from this match is apparently a few hours after TakeOver, and TakeOver ended late. TakeOver ended at like 11:30 midnight. And despite
everything
did over the weekend. Despite that, we found out that Almas was at the club. You'll find him in the club, tweeting about life and woman on each arm, drink in hand. And Tom Phillips posed the question: do you think he's focusing too much on life outside of the ring and taking his role as this idol too much to heart?
I don't know, but I think his dentist is happy. See all those polished ivories in his mouth in every photo. He looks like a Hispanic Jaws with a beard. You put a beard on a shark. That's what Almas looks like. Yeah. I know that has nothing to do with anything, but all the same.
It has something to do with everything. So I wonder if they're going to focus on this party boy lifestyle for Almas. And I wonder if it'll start to affect him in the ring. Maybe he's going to stay out a little bit too late, and it affects his performance. And
maybe he's going to start bringing girls to the ring.
Maybe.
He might. You never know.
You never know.
Some of that personal life bleeds into business, and in wrestling, that's a very common thing.
Sure.
So it would not be outside of my realms a possibility for him to actually start coming to the ring with ladies on each arm to prove the kind of playboy that he is, both in the ring and out of the ring.
International playboy. I'm in for it. It'll be exciting to see where he goes from here, despite the loss to Black. All right, now let's talk about some fun. We had the poor souls known as the Bollywood Boys versus Heavy Machinery.
This was match of the
this
evening.
Wonderful. Like we talked a little bit about Heavy Machinery within the past couple of weeks. It's been such a long weekend. I think it was last week, but I can't. Time is not on my side. But this was nothing but sheer power from Heavy Machinery. Otis double suplexing the Bollywood Boys. They was said on commentaries they were coming down to the ring. They weigh less than half of the build weight of Heavy Machinery.
Yeah.
So even going again, both of them teaming up against one dude, I think they still had the weight disadvantage, especially Otis.
Well, Tucker Knight and Otis Dozovich are two guys that are about the same weight. It's just how that weight is oriented. There's a definite height difference, but them being close to the same weight means that one of them is severely wider than the other.
Yeah.
And as a result, there's no way you can take these guys off of their feet unless you're hitting them at an incredibly high angle, which the Bollywood Boys have been known to do.
They could have, but they didn't even want to risk getting up on the top rope or even the second rope.
Because to be caught would have been a death sentence.
It was almost a death sentence tonight. And it's amazing how a guy like Tucker Knight, been a fan of Tucker Knight's for quite some time. So happy that he's a part of this tag team. But even more so, how he's the quick one. He's the speedy one. A guy like Tucker Knight.
He's got those long legs.
Yeah,
and
big strides.
That works really to his advantage. He's a very tall man. And so if there's a speedier one of the two, you have to go with the taller man having the longer gait. And Otis is I think more of a wrecking ball. I think if he were to get the speed going, there would be absolutely no stopping him. I think if they have to reinforce the ring if he runs the ropes.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
He kind of stayed central and let everybody else come to him, and that was a mistake too.
Right, exactly. But Ben Tucker Knight gets that hot tag, and he's running people over. He's all over that ring.
Yeah.
It's funny seeing the difference in style between the two that are... the height difference is there, but then the orientation is different.
Yeah.
Two different body types. You got a guy who can kind of play basketball, maybe, and then a power lifter, and he's a power lifter and an amateur wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't know who his opponents were, but I'm sure they regretted every minute of being on the mat with him.
Yeah, so last week we saw last time, I'll say, we saw the assisted body slam for the win from Heavy Machinery.
That was just me.
That was so rough.
I wasn't able to talk about that before, but it was the double splash, the sandwich.
The sandwich splash sandwich.
He just drops him and then picks up Big Tuck and just squashes the poor man underneath him. Like, this is a finish. That's it. There is no getting up.
Now that's an amazing finisher.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
remarkable.
That is a finisher.
Little did we expect it to get better this week when Tucker starts running the ropes and Dozer hits a front power slam, but Tucker splashes on top of him.
He almost theses his back to push him down. It's
like a double front power slam.
It's like a ton of force being driven onto the man who's on the bottom. I have no clue how that Bollywood boy walked away. How was he not sent to the hospital?
I can't believe he walked away.
Should have been absolutely crushed into his body cavity.
You know what it was? It split his rib cage in twain.
Yeah.
And sent it down through his body, so he had more support on his legs. So he could walk, but he needed the help of his brother because his middle section
and his spine was holding him up. So he was like a scarecrow.
It's like a marionette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little did we know that the Cera brothers were the scarecrows at WrestleMania 31 for Bray Wyatt's entrance.
That's it.
There you go. There's a WrestleMania fact for you.
Questions answered.
That's us. NXT team. Questions answered. We did it.
The most devastating finisher I think I've ever seen in my whole life.
It bumped us pretty hard.
Just like, I freaked out. Where's he going? Oh my God!
Rip in peace. Rest in power, the Bollywood boys.
Well, half of the Bollywood.
Half of one half.
One half. One quarter.
1/4 of the Bollywood boys taken out. P.W. Gregory in chat says, I laughed when they squished him. I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed over and over and over again. It was amazing.
Sometimes stuff like that is horrible is too funny. There's something weirdly great about these two giant men. They don't come in like the Authors of Pain.
No.
Like, you can almost see, the precedent is set for two big guys to come in and go, screw everybody, we're the biggest guys here. We don't have to have any sort of fun. It's all business. It's absolutely the opposite. They have fun. Heavy Machinery has fun just sort of playing around with their power game. It's kind of like two circus performers. Look at what we can do. Look at these strong men just have fun in the ring. It's frightening what they're capable of doing when they're not even angry. They're just having fun.
Having a good time.
How scary is that?
Yeah, I don't want to see them serious.
No! I feel bad for the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain should be watching this and going, we've got problems.
Like, with Revival moving up to Raw, who knows the status of DIY? We'll talk a little bit about the Superstar Shakeup at the end of the show. But it looks like Heavy Machinery, by a sheer size aspect, it looks like they're bulldozing straight towards the Authors of Pain.
I don't think anyone can stand in their way. There's no one to stand in their way.
The only people that can't stand in their way are the Authors of Pain.
Absolutely.
Unless they're hiding two bigger dudes at the Performance Center, which I find very hard to believe.
That's a little hard. Well, I do have a 6'10" guy.
Him.
But I don't think he's going to be
Tagging
on
with
a tag
anybody?
team anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I think right now Heavy Machinery are a safe bet to be facing the Authors of Pain in due time.
Yes, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But again, we'll talk about that more at the end of the show. All right, so we go from there to we're in the back with Oni Lorcan. We still don't know who his opponent is going to be for the end of the night. It was announced as a mystery opponent, but he says that he's here to do his job, and it's his job to win. Let's take a look at the NXT Tag Team Championship match. We're with Paul Ellering at the end. He says that it is both vindication and confirmation. At the beginning, they had to prove themselves, but they can't stop Destiny. They're going to be a dynasty. It's hard to deny that at this point.
No, you can't, because they're not just power. A lot of people look at the Authors of Pain and go, they're power guys, plain and simple. They can't move in that ring. They can't do what a lot of these other guys do. And it's not true. They are incredibly gifted athletes. One of them is an MMA champion multiple times over. He is a scary individual.
Yeah.
These two guys are power and precision, and that is a dangerous combination.
They're giant scalpels.
They are.
Curtius Hiosforos in the chat says, tag team triple threat, Heavy Machinery versus Authors of Pain versus Wolf and Dane. They need to reinforce the ring for that match. That's a lot of weight.
I think we're doing that in the parking lot. I don't think there's anything but concrete
Do
that
that in
can
the
hold
boiler
that.
room.
Yeah, that's just going to end up in a massive divot in the earth. Mm-hmm. One of them getting just slammed on top of the other is just going to create a crater. They've already got sinkhole problems in Florida. They don't need more.
Seriously. Then after this, we got a look at the NXT Championship match. Some new angles, like they had some B-cam stuff that looked pretty artistic, pretty cinematic. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But Bobby told the world exactly what he was going to do, and this is the beginning of his NXT. Gorgeous looking NXT Championship belt around his shoulder.
Brand new. Everybody got brand new belts.
Spanking new. And after that, we got a confirmation. We talked about this on the NXT TakeOver Orlando show, which you can listen to on iTunes or on AfterBuzzTV.com, that Drew McIntyre re-debuted at NXT TakeOver. He was there watching the title match.
I wouldn't say he debuted. It was announced.
He appeared. He appeared at TakeOver Orlando to watch the main event. Same position that Bobby Roode was in last year, and look at how much he's done in a year.
Yeah, this looks pretty historic. If you're following along with how Bobby Roode's done, even Shinsuke Nakamura, what an amazing, phenomenal, perfect year he has had. Mm-hmm. He's just spent a year in NXT, dominated it completely, and he's out.
Moving on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
He confirmed that he is signed to NXT and he wants the top prize in the business, which is the NXT Championship, and he's going to be appearing on the show next week. We'll be able to see what sort of direction he'll be going to. It looks like he's heading straight for Bobby Roode.
Well, if history is any indicator, yeah, he probably will be. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think it makes for a good matchup. I like a little bit of build. Cassius Ohno, that was almost a non-event. He came in, immediately challenged, and everybody kind of went, yeah, who cares? Mm-hmm. It was unfortunate for everybody involved that literally nobody cared. You need build. You got to get Drew in and start building him.
Like Drew has had, he said in the promo that he's carried some of the top titles in the industry, and he's not wrong.
No, not at all.
He's got a huge pedigree behind him since leaving the WWE.
But people need to see what's different.
Especially because, like, the last time WWE audiences saw him, he was in 3MB. No offense to 3MB, I flippin' love 3MB. And all three members are back under a WWE roof, one on Raw, one on SmackDown, one on NXT. They're going to take over the entire company separately. Can't wait to see that reunion. But
the new Wolfpack.
Yeah, the new Wolfpack. The new Clique. Why? But I'm excited to see where Drew goes. I'm interested to see in who his first match is. They are recording the new shows tonight, so make sure if you are following along with that, don't put it in chat because that's spoilers. We don't like spoilers. Spoilers are wrong.
Spoiler free.
And please don't tweet at us because it makes it that much more fun to talk about from a week-to-week basis.
Absolutely.
So our main event, before we talk about the weekend that was, some news that was, Oni Lorcan versus El Vagabundo. A man with his video was just a sugar skull with cross guitars. He had a mask on, a sweet scarf, what looked like...
I don't know how Nigel McGuinness got the 411.
He knew all about him. Nigel has heard a lot about this guy from south of the border.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, he gets in the ring, Mike Rome, hi Mike, not having it. He's just confused and like, why am I doing this? Is weird.
I shouldn't be. You shouldn't even be here.
Yeah, what are you doing here? It was a lot of fun. He sang a song for the crowd. Oni stops him. He says, "I know it's the Drifter. We all know it's the Drifter. The crowd know it's the Drifter." Wants him to drift away, but remarkably, the crowd boos Oni and is getting behind El Vagabundo. Now, we all know that this is Elias Sampson, and he was in the Loser Leaves NXT match last week. He lost. He's not supposed to be here, but he comes back under this mask, and for some reason the crowd loves it. You have some concerns about this, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about it.
I'm just lost. If you're in chat for this show right now, tell me why you are cheering El Vagabundo when you were booing and or could not care less about Elias Sampson. What is going on?
Yeah.
You hated him.
It's exactly the same thing.
Nothing has changed.
Just the
He's
mask.
wearing a freaking mask. Why is he being cheered? This is hurting my head.
Well, what I think is the fact that the character took himself so seriously, remarkably serious, and people didn't respond to that. They didn't like that. So now he shows up wearing a candy skull dollar store mask, trying to do the same, doing the exact same, not changing anything, not trying to fit in, not trying to sneak around and be like, maybe I can drift in some other way. Like, no, he's doing the exact same thing. He's not taking himself as seriously, and I think the crowd responded really well to that.
Is that what it is? I mean,
because we've talked about it on the show ad nauseum. It's not the fact that he's the Drifter seems to be the only thing that's getting in his way, because when he started out as the Drifter, he was having matches with, holds and suplexes, and he showed that he was a physical specimen. He's still a physical specimen. He's enhanced his striking game to be a little bit more scrappy and I fight for my meals sort of a thing.
You do what works.
Yeah.
You should be punching and kicking. Stop trying to be a wrestler if you're a Drifter.
Yeah. So with all of that, his ability was never brought into question, ever. Yeah. He's been a fantastic performer, but it was something about the Drift. Now the fact that, he's a silly sot, now we get a chance to laugh at him for real, and maybe the folks in the back aren't taking this as seriously either. Maybe he's not taking himself as seriously. Now we can start to enjoy this, because now it's going to be fun antique type stuff of him trying to get in the building every week. And
then that'll be funny.
The last person who did that was Bo Dallas, and he gave us some of the most memorable moments in NXT history.
Exactly, but I don't know what this is. It's such a stark change. Mm-hmm. It was so black and white, on and off. It just throws me.
Sure.
I don't understand.
Well,
I don't get it. Why?
Well, it threw me because I saw El Vagabundo, I saw the beard coming out, the knot in the back of the mask, and I thought it was our good friend Wrestling Fred.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
Absolutely.
And then when he opened up his mouth, it wasn't like, hey, he wasn't talking about a toddler coming by and spitting in his mouth.
Right, or hot dog eeating contest.
Yeah, he didn't have his hot dog belt, so I was like, maybe this isn't the guy. He didn't have his athletic gloves.
Yeah.
Nope, not our good friend Wrestling Fred. But, who knows? Who knows? It was exactly the same, but completely different. For some reason, it worked.
But it threw everyone off. No one knew what to do in that ring. Poor Oni. Oni got booed.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to.
The most important thing, though, Oni got the W. He unmasked El Vagabundo to reveal Elias Sampson, gets the pin, gets the win, and then Elias is removed from the ring and gets embarrassed.
Cavalcade of boos. Everyone hated him for it.
But
like you're supposed to be on the side of the good guy when the bad guy is being bad. He's being bad. He's trespassing, which we've been known to do.
Let's see what happens when we get back to Full Sail. The WrestleMania crowd is some of the rowdiest fans from all over the world, because it is a worldly event. and maybe things will change when we head back to Full Sail. But now that that is what has been presented on TV, the crowd may now react to that all the time, and react like that all the time.
Man, only time will tell, but I have to believe that the crowd influenced this a little bit. And while people will continue to laugh if they keep this up, I really think that he will get booed. I hope he will get booed because that's what he needs.
Yeah.
I really want to tell you all about how the business works, but I'm not going to do that.
That's for a different time.
It is.
Yeah. So that was it for the NXT show. We're going to talk a little bit about some news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, being the week after WrestleMania, there were some call-ups on Raw. We saw the Revival debut against the New Day and tear apart Kofi Kingston's ankle, doing what they do, taking on huge, larger-than-life characters with sheer wrestling ability and leaving them in a huddled mass in the ring.
Yeah, they are as devastating as two individuals can be. They're intelligent and precise, and they know how to take people out. That's what they've been doing. Now they're just let loose on a whole different group of hombres.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see where the tag division goes from here, or if it's going to be an extended set of matches with the New Day, because there's a number one contendership match next week between Enzo and Cass and Sheamus and Cesaro, and the Revival should be getting... I would like them to break it up and leave everybody in a heap so that they're the only tag team left, so they go, hey, how about us?
Hey, to that I say yeah.
Say yeah. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, former NXT talents Finn Balor and Emma made their returns on Raw. Great to see them back, especially Emma, who looks like the Terminator again. Awesome.
But I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's like Emma when she moved up, and then they tried the Emelina thing, and then they went back to how she looked with like the half gloves and the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome to see her back. SmackDown, though, got the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. Greatest introduction we had. I keep calling him Brian Myers. Kurt Hawkins in the ring, having an open challenge to anybody in the back, and he would give them to the count of 10. A single beat, 10, instantly. Like, didn't leave anybody like, as people were going, ha, 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 like, Ty's music already hit, and he was out.
No, I just watching that video back, it was, he says the word 10, people react, then they hear 10 on the actual audio system, and they lose their minds.
Huge reaction.
Huge.
Well worth it for Ty. 15 years in the making.
God, the video, go watch that exclusive where
The
he's,
interview in the back?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, that is
He was...
emotional. It gets you right in the heart. I don't care who you are, unless you're made out of rock, man. That'll move you.
Yeah, I just... Seeing the streams go down his face, it's like, man, good for
It's
you,
sweat.
Ty. Like, and coming from our show, we've been fans of Ty for years, and going back to our old studio when we had several NXT, now WWE superstars and champions on interviewing, we asked who's the person that everybody's going to want to look out for. Everybody said Ty Dillinger. And now, if you didn't know before, Raw's going to be super jealous that they have Ty Dillinger. We're going to miss him, talking about him on NXT. Hopefully he still has some stuff to... It didn't seem like he ended his feud with Sanity, so maybe he's got a little bit of a crossover from NXT
It's hard to believe, though. Usually when people move up, man, that's the end of their NXT career.
Same thing with Revival. Like, Revival, I hope that we see them more in NXT, but we won't know until the next couple of weeks.
That's true.
Also called up, Shinsuke Nakamura interrupted the Miz and Maurice doing a segment on John Cena. So if we get Shinsuke Miz,
that would be pretty bold.
that's money.
That would be really good.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have to say a word. I'm really sad that I forget the name, but they brought back the violinist from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And we got to get an encore of that performance. Super excited about that. And then on 205 Live, right after SmackDown, Oney Lorcan made his debut. Now, whether that means he's going to be traveling with the brand, we don't know. Whether that means he's going to be on Raw as a part of the Cruiserweight division as well, or just 205 Live, I guess we're going to find out. But congratulations to Oney Lorcan as well. It'll be great to see him on regular WWE television. So a little bit of sad news today. Former NXT Tag Team Champion Simon Gotch and the WWE came to terms with his release. Don't know the terms. As far as we know, we hope that he he finds himself on his feet pretty soon. Jack Swagger did all right. He saw him at WrestleCon. He seems to be doing all right.
I mean, I got a chance to talk to Gotch backstage, and he seemed in pretty high spirits. I can't imagine that this was as abrupt as it seems. It must have been in the works. So I think he was comfortable with the fact that he would be moving on to do other work. And I think a man of his talent, as he is seriously talented, will find himself more than busy outside of WWE.
Yeah. I just hope, like, a couple years ago when CJ Parker left NXT seemingly on his way up, when we got a chance to talk to him, he said that it was in the works for a while, so I can only imagine that this was something similar where it's like, let's get you through WrestleMania, and then
just
we'll
get that payday, close out those dates, and then do what you want.
I hope in English as well. Maybe we'll see him return as the artiste.
We always liked him as the artiste, and I think it's a good solo act to go back to. And
it was sort of a thing in NXT when Gotch showed up. It was just an instant. Did we just become best friends? Yup. And now we're a tag team.
Right.
So it'd be cool to see where he goes. Hopefully he lands on his feet as well. But aside from that, we've got May 20th was announced that TakeOver Chicago is going to be happening before the Saturday before Backlash. We're going to be getting takeovers a little bit more frequent now. So maybe
so it seems.
So this is where we may see Ember Moon Asuka 2. This is where we may see we're going to get title matches, but I wonder, with that being essentially right around the corner, 2 months from now, how much they can build towards leading up to that time.
Well, they better do something quick, because you need more than just in-ring stuff to actually build an angle. You need that backstage stuff as well. So whatever happens, I think they really need to pour their real creative energy into making something that people want to watch. You've got a great potential to make a real wrestling show here. Just use every minute to push talent. You know, don't waste a minute, because you don't have the time with 2 months to go and a show to sell.
Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see what happens. We'll be here to cover that, of course. And the last thing we're going to talk about in the news segment, anyway, is the Superstar shakeup. Vince McMahon himself announced that there's going to be a bit of a shakeup between Raw and SmackDown, and we don't know yet whether that involves NXT or not. They did not mention it on the show today, but because it was pre-recorded, who knows? But
it leaves the door.
It leaves the door
wide open.
And you saw an interesting article.
Yeah, there was a writer, I forget his name now, had mentioned that he would be interested in seeing the shakeup affect current roster talent, that they may be able to travel downward to NXT. Sort of in a negative connotation, like getting a demotion, having to go back to NXT. Two names he mentioned, now I don't necessarily agree with this, but this is the names he mentioned were Dana Brooke and Apollo Crews.
So coming back to NXT.
Yes. But I like to leave that open to the audience. I want to know who they want to see possibly go back down to NXT for a period of time, or possibly other NXT talent that might move up because of the Superstar shakeup.
That was actually one of the we asked for questions before we recorded our TakeOver Orlando show, and our good friend Marie wanted to know what superstars they would want to see come back down and work in NXT, and this shakeup provides an opportunity.
Right.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be... Like, now that NXT is acknowledged as a third brand, while it still can be considered developmental in some areas, it is a solid third brand. Yeah. So I don't think anybody would consider it a demotion, especially when you get to travel less.
Right.
It kind of helps out, maybe get to see your kids a little bit more.
And I think as a match stipulation, that's actually a good way to build something. Perhaps put somebody's job on the line. Have an established star actually have to wrestle an NXT talent for a possible talent swap. If the NXT talent actually beats the main roster talent, that main roster talent goes down, the NXT talent comes up.
It's like spot for spot.
Right.
Yeah. So again, this isn't something that's been announced. This isn't anything that's been confirmed.
We're just spitballing,
speculating.
They created an atmosphere where literally anything could happen, and we're just following those avenues to their natural conclusions.
Yep. If anything can happen, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that does it for news. We're going to talk a little bit about the weekend that was WrestleMania. Now, Hobo, you were down there for a little while. Did you get a chance to wrestle while you were down there?
Yeah, I wrestled in Florida the Wednesday of WrestleMania week. More in Western Florida, but I was able to check out the WWN events and see the talent that they have there. A lot of talented guys. I saw the Progress show firsthand, and that was a sellout. I believe they said it was 1,300 sold, and that's a huge number. That venue was packed. Partially because you have the talent on that show from the UK tournament, so I got to see, Trent Seven and the champion Tyler Bate, as well as Mark Andrews and Pete Dunne, who's
Excellent.
the Progress champion. So Pete Dunne actually headlined that show.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did a lot of the events together. We got a chance to reconnect with our old broadcast partner and really good friend, NXT member Kathy Kelly.
If you haven't seen that on Instagram yet, you ain't living. Go look at that.
We're the biggest
picture.
dorks.
We're the best.
Yeah, if you head over to my Instagram, Mark B. Donica, I posted a picture of us all at the Hall of Fame. It's very dorky, very adorkable, as I'll say. But I made sure to pick the one where we both looked the craziest.
Yeah.
But she also had her big old dorky smile on her, too.
She's got her derp shows through every now and again. She can't hide it for long. She looks very beautiful and very poised, and then she starts talking, and something goofy will happen.
I really hope she posts that picture of her and Alexa Bliss. It's so good.
No,
But yeah, luckily that was our really only chance to talk to her in person.
She was so busy.
She's
I mean,
so
if you were
busy.
following all of the WrestleMania activity at home, you saw her at the end of every event doing interviews. Now, that ended at midnight. So she, at midnight every night, was out doing interviews. Her job did not end. She had the craziest hours of anybody on the announce team.
And then
period.
The day after the Hall of Fame was that DDP yoga event that was at like 5 or 6.
Oh, I would have wanted to go to that, yeah.
She covered it for the Snapchat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was wonderful to catch up with her and talk to her. She's doing well. She misses everybody in the who's a fan of this show and all of the other shows that she used to be on. But
support her. If you like Kathy Kelly, you remember her from this show, tweet her, tweet WWE that you like the work that she does. I'm telling you, it really makes a difference. They watch that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's social cred's going up, it means more opportunities for them. Flat and simple.
And completely unrelated, make sure to go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com.
Completely
unrelated.
Hey, somebody got tickets to Hall of Fame because they were wearing a Kathy Kelly guy shirt. Just soak that in.
Yeah.
You can get free tickets to stuff if you're wearing a Kathy Kelly guy shirt.
Nice catch.
Just throwing
Just
that out
throwing
there.
out there.
There are perks for you being a member of the NXT team.
Yeah. There's some perks.
Dig it.
That inside credit's like once you're NXT team, you're NXT team for life.
For life.
So speaking of that, we went to the Hall of Fame. It was a wonderful night. We got to see a lot of great folks. Then we went the next night. Or the next day before NXT, we went to the Click event, which if you want to hear more about that, make sure to tune into Xbox 12360. Today we had Ron Funches on. We talked about the weekend. We talked about the Click event, and we showed a clip from it. Now, highspots.com did not record the event. It was exclusive. The only tape that exists of that evening.
Who recorded it then?
Just us.
We recorded it?
Yep, that's us.
We own the sole footage?
Yeah.
That's
So-
blackmail material. There's some blackmail material in that whole show.
So if you want to hear some stuff about the Click, some exclusive stories, we're going to be rolling out a couple of videos here and there throughout the next couple of weeks. But make sure to head to Xbox 12360 today. We talked about the Click event, and we showed a clip about who, out of Scott, Sean, and Kevin, who on the main roster / NXT, who current in WWE, they would want to wrestle. And I loved everybody's answers, but I really loved Sean's answer, Sean Waltman's answer a lot.
Yep.
About somebody he would David and Goliath with. We also got the chance Now, we did hear from some of you that you saw us in transit, like, looking busy, and you didn't want to stop us because you didn't want to.
You can stop us.
Please stop
Yeah.
us. Please stop us. Like, if we're too busy to stop, we'll tell you.
My natural resting face, I look very pissed off, but it's just the orientation of my face.
He's not wrong.
I'm actually happy to talk to people. I'm happy a lot of the times. I just look like I'm gonna punch somebody in the mouth. Because when you live on the streets, you need to have that reputation of, oh, this dude's just gonna go off on you if you mess with him. You need the rep.
Haku Hobo.
Absolutely.
So,
dislocate your jaw with one hand.
Sounds about right. But somebody that we did see is somebody who's been a friend of the show. He helps promote us every week. Was on Twitter at @wheels_stud. Johan Pena. Absolutely love the guy. We got a chance to take a picture with him, talk to him a little bit. He was wearing his "I'm a Kathy Kelly Guy" shirt, and we're so grateful to be able to meet him.
We got the best fans.
Yeah.
Plain simple, we got the best fans.
Any NXT event he goes to, he lets us know. He takes pictures for us. Yeah. Wonderful guy. The heel on wheels. Absolutely a big fan of his as much as he likes watching us. So thank you to everybody that came out, said hi. I know you got a couple of pictures with folks, Hobo.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
of course. I got the face that people want to take pictures with.
Yeah.
Ah.
Also, while we were there, while she wasn't on the NXT show, we got a chance to see Christy work. She worked the Access Live show, helping out with Q&As with like Paul Heyman. She was doing great.
She dove right in.
Yeah, she's so happy to be there. She fits right in. The rumor is, if you look at her Twitter account, so it's not really a rumor, that she's going to be popping on NXT soon. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about her more in the future. The NXT takeover was absolutely nuts. It was amazing being in that crowd, and you never know who was going to pop up. I thought it was weird that they left the pianos there for an extended period of time.
People like you thought they saw some writing on the wall. Turned out not to be anything. It's just more proof that Bobby Roode is classing up the joint. He's got a couple of grand pianos in the main event. You know, he's just making this place a little bit classier every time he's in the ring.
Yeah, by the end of the night, the thoughts that I had for the pianos were deleted. But the next day, I almost got you. The next day, WrestleMania 33, a very, very long day. It was like a 7-8 hour show.
I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was a great show.
It was a great show.
Top to bottom, a great show, but baby, I tell you, it's too long.
It was pretty long. The weather was very interesting. A lot of variations with
you Floridians are just, you gotta be lizard people to live there. The
Yeah.
home of the lizards, fighting lizards. Yeah.
That's us, the Fighting Lizards.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was awesome to see Killian Dane last so long in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Really hoping he would have taken it. Like, could you have imagined, like, not necessarily a debut, but if in NXT we had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy every time Sanity came out? Like, that type of clout to that lifestyle.
Would be two NXT people winning.
Well, Baron Corbin made his
back.
main roster debut at the Battle Royal, so
You can make the argument, if he didn't win that match, he wouldn't have stayed on the main roster. They had to put him on the main roster because he was an Andre the Giant Memorial Cup winner.
all right.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It may not have been his debut. Here we have Killian Dane. He may or may not come back. He wasn't on this week because he didn't win.
And I guess we'll see him. Well, hopefully we'll see him in Sanity moving on, because
I was hoping for Sanity to take over that whole
yeah,
thing.
if he didn't come out with the group, so if a WrestleMania Sanity entrance, especially on that stage.
I would have just loved to see him jump.
Yeah.
Jump in. Because they're wild. They don't need warning. They take what they want. They're crazy.
Choices. Before we go, what would you say was the biggest highlight from WrestleMania?
I cannot
Or
say
a couple.
I cannot say there's a single highlight.
Yeah.
Because for me, we've been covering this now. This was our third one. I have to say every year.
Third one in person.
Right.
Yeah.
Every year it gets better. I have to say that the first year was challenging. Just feeling it out and being there and trying to cover everything and be involved. The second year, we were getting a little bit more involved. I was off doing my own stuff, scouting people who potentially could go to NXT, and that worked out. This year, I sort of split my time between AfterBuzz, and I did WrestleCon, which I hadn't done before, and at WWN, I literally did, I think, everything. I had a good day on all fronts, and I think splitting my time and meeting everybody was probably the absolute best use of all of my resources.
And Saturday, getting a chance to be at Access and WrestleCon and NXT, that was a super stacked day. I was beyond exhausted after it, but the fact that we got to see so many people, the fact that we met up with the former Rich Brennan, Rich Bocchini, or Bocchini. I'm sorry if
it's a lot of C's.
It's a very Italian name.
Oh yeah.
So and we got a chance to talk to him about about our show.
Yeah, because he's and was a regular viewer during his time in NXT.
So it was nice to sort of get that rub of how important all of our after shows here are. You know, you never know who's gonna watch, and you never know what exactly they're listening for. So
our voices matter, your voice matters,
especially your voices matter. Your comments, your questions, your tweets, your involvement with these shows gets seen, gets attention from the very people that you're here to watch, from WWE, from NXT.
AfterBuzz is the gateway between the people and the production team of the favorite shows that they watch. If you want to be heard, if you have ideas about your show, if you're happy with it, if you're not happy with it, AfterBuzz, talking to AfterBuzz is your way of interacting with those shows. So I'd say, power to the people.
Exactly.
Do it.
Exactly. And it goes to show we now have 4 AfterBuzz alumni who are working for the WWE. We've got Ryan Katz, we've got Derry Baronato, Kathy Kelly, and the newest Christy St. Cloud. So
it's not some kind of secret, like the secret's out. That's 4. That's more than a lot of people. 4 people currently working for WWE in high-level positions.
Yep.
Like that's
on camera, behind the camera.
You think this matters?
In the middle of the ring. Much gratitude to Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro for sending the AfterBuzz team to WrestleMania to cover it. It was an absolute ball. We're super excited to reform, regroup, and make our experience at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans that much more special. Thank you to everybody who has watched the Hall of Fame interviews with Ty Matthews, who killed it, absolutely killed it on the red carpet.
He's just a fun little guy.
And we do have one more interview with Hobo and Beth Phoenix that's going to be going up.
I had a guerrilla interview with her.
And we've got sort of a promo off between Steve Kaufman and Christian Rosenberg that's going to be going up a little bit soon as well. But until then, Hobo, where can the folks find you? What are you working on?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at @TrueHobo. I've got my irons in a lot of different fires. I'm waiting to see what comes up. If you're looking to train to be a professional wrestler, I suggest you look into the Millennium Wrestling Academy. I think that's a great part of the business to be looking into. They've got a good thing going. Trust me, I see a lot of potential there. Look at the Millennium Wrestling Academy.
And you can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. Make sure also to tune into our other wrestling programming, X-Pac 12360 today, where we had Ron Funches and we talked about the WrestleMania weekend. We're returning with Lillian Garcia's making their way to the ring this coming Monday. You do not want to miss it. It is an amazing guest and an amazing interview. Please make sure you tune in. That is Monday. And then also our Raw after show on Mondays, our SmackDown after show on Tuesdays. We're doing a little bit of a superstar shakeup on that show as well, since Christy left the show, and us here on Wednesdays. And then Lucha Underground is going to be coming back Thursdays in May. So thank you for joining us on this episode of AfterBuzz's NXT After Show. We will see you at Full Sail.
Bye-bye!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, green light.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.